Hello, 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 and welcome to the Morgan Man Sports Podcast, wherever you may be getting your podcast from, now on YouTube.com, SoundCloud.com, Google Play Podcast, and Spotify. Yes, that's right, guys. I am pretty much now everywhere, minus, of course, like iTunes. I'm still working on that as we speak. Just having a lot of just issues going on with that certain situation. But yes, now starting today, Tuesday, make sure we're recording this on Monday, but on Tuesdays and of course Fridays, I will have the video version of my podcast here on YouTube for you guys. So definitely if you want to check that out, I'll put it in the description below on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Google Podcast. And of course, on YouTube, I'll have the links to those podcast accounts in the description below for the YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into all the action. So yesterday, or as this recording, so 2 days ago, we had WWE's Fastlane. And I'm going over the match results and my honest thoughts of the show. So my honest thoughts of the show was it was pretty just lackluster. There was nothing exciting about the match itself or the matches in general, and it's just the road to WrestleMania. Everything just seems weird and out of whack. The only thing I was really looking forward to was the Becky Lynch match, which I'll get to that here in a little bit. And so let's go ahead and do it off with the kickoff show, and that is New Day versus which is Big E and Xavier Woods, because Kofi Kingston did get sent to the back for the some kind of meet with Mr. McMahon about the WWE Championship. Versus Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura, and the New Day wins this right here. Sorry, that's my microphone for the people that's on the podcast. But so Xavier Woods and Big E, of course, wins this match, no doubtly right here, because the Shinsuke and Rusev connection just doesn't seem like it's there, and I'm just not buying into that right now. Next up, you got the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships, the Usos versus The Miz and Shane McMahon. The Usos win this with Shane McMahon, out of all people, to turn heel on The Miz. So, really, right now, of course, The Miz is babyface in this certain situation. And I think this is going to lead up to the match at WrestleMania, where The Miz and Shane McMahon kind of put up their careers on the line, per se. And of course, Miz is going to walk out victorious on this situation, because Shane McMahon, he's getting older, for Pete's sakes. He's, oh my goodness, I want to say 50-something, if I'm not mistaken. He's getting up in that age. And he really just does not need to be wrestling. And it's not like a legitimate career versus career, because both of these guys are still going to be in WWE, regardless of whichever one loses. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think The Miz signed a 4-year contract back 2 years ago, so he's got 2 more years to go. The WWE SmackDown Women's Championship, Asuka versus Mandy Rose with Sonya Deville at ringside. This right here, guys, of course, Asuka won this match because, Asuka needs to be dominant headed into WrestleMania. But Mandy Rose, I think right now is going to be kind of like this mega push for her, and she needs to put Sonya Deville to the side. So what was going on during the match, Sonya Deville was looking for a weapon that Mandy could possibly use, and she left the curtain top or the curtain bottom, folded up on the ring, and then Mandy slid and fell due to Sonya Deville causing that incident, and costed Mandy Rose the SmackDown Women's Championship. So it makes me wonder if it's just going to lead up to a triple threat match at WrestleMania, between Asuka, Mandy, and Sonya, where first you kind of get like a 2-on-1 situation, and then after that, Mandy turns on Sonya Deville, and probably Asuka would still walk out as the women's champion at WrestleMania. Who knows? Going on, backstage when we were, whenever I said at the top of the show, that Kofi Kingston was brought to the back to discuss the WWE Championship with Mr. McMahon. Well, Mr. McMahon said, okay, yeah, tonight's matchup will be a triple threat match. And he said, it starts right now, just like that. And whenever Kofi got out there, and of course, Mr. McMahon did ban Xavier Woods and Big E from ringside. And I was like, okay, well, this is kind of weird. And then of course, the announcer was talking to the producer, and it said that match will take later in the night. And then I heard the sirens for the bar, and the bar came out there, and it was a 2-on-1 handicap match where Kofi had to face, of course, Sheamus and Cesaro, and the both of them won against Kofi Kingston. So this is leading up to where Kofi Kingston is just getting bullied around now, pretty much. And this is going to be like a Daniel Bryan situation back at WrestleMania 30, if I'm not mistaken, where I want to say like 2 Monday Night Raws before that WrestleMania 30 event took place, that Daniel Bryan was in the ring with all the fans that were wearing the Yes shirts and say, we're not going to leave until you give in to our demands. And then Vince is, yelling and cussing at him. I was like, get the hell out of my ring or whatever. And then like, no, like that. Like how Daniel Bryan is always known for. And then Mr. McMahon's like, all right, fine, Daniel, or just whatever. And like, you got your match at WrestleMania. And then it just goes on from there. But in this certain situation with Kofi, I think pretty much, I feel like Xavier Woods and Big E's going to have a part in this situation, where they're going to probably like do something to Mr. McMahon, or Stephanie and Shane McMahon could possibly step into this situation and say, we're going against our father's wishes to keep Kofi out, and we're going to put him in the match at WrestleMania. And it's possibly going to lead to a fatal 4-way maybe, with Kofi, Mustafa Ali, Daniel Bryan, of course, because he's champion, and Kevin Owens, where hopefully Kofi Kingston will walk out as the WWE Champion. Next up is the Raw Tag Team Championship. The Revival defeated Aleister Black and Ricochet and Bobby Roode and Chad Gable in a triple threat tag team match. That right there is, I feel like it was just put into place. I feel like they could have saved this for Monday Night Raw, which is, tonight of this recording. I feel like they could have done that, but they just, like, okay, we just need to put a match in to, take up some more time. But of course, the Revival does win in this certain situation. So going on the WrestleMania, I don't know how they're going to work everything out. Maybe it's a ladder match for all we know. Next up is the WWE United States Championship match, and originally it was supposed to be Andrade Cien, if I'm pronouncing that right. I am sorry if I'm butchering his name, and Rey Mysterio on the pre-show, but then it was later announced that they will be moved to the main show itself, but in a fatal 4-way with them two, facing up also against with Samoa Joe and R-Truth for the U.S. title, and of course Samoa Joe wins this one. It's about time really Samoa Joe wins a belt. I feel like it's a good opportunity for WWE to kind of test waters and see how he does as a champion. And people, he got a huge pop whenever he won the U.S. title. So this makes me wonder, how much more of a limit could you go if he, say, won the WWE Championship? Next up is the Women's Tag Team Championship, the Balls and Hug Connection versus Nia Jax and Tamina, and I'd say this was just disappointing. I mean, Nia Jax, she's just a bully in this situation, and I just don't like her character, no nothing. The Balls and Hug connection is just really just now getting old, and even though they just been champions for what now, a month, if I'm not mistaken, and like I said, it's just getting old, and I have a fear that WWE is just going to make these women's tag team titles only for Raw. I have that feeling, but we have to wait and see what WrestleMania holds. Maybe they do a ladder match for the women's tag team championships. Who knows? Oh, and speaking of the women's division, Beth Phoenix was, of course, attacked by Nia Jax after Tamina was up in Beth Phoenix's face, and then Beth Phoenix punched Tamina in the face, and then Nia Jax, of course, came in and hit her in the back of the head. So now this makes me wonder if it's going to be Natty and Beth Phoenix versus Nia Jax and Tamina at WrestleMania. The WWE Championship, Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens versus Mustafa Ali. So going back to the triple threat match, which was supposed to have been Kofi Kingston in this certain format, but then the 2-on-1 handicap match took place. So Mustafa Ali returns, and he put on one hell of a performance. And I mean one hell of a performance for you guys. And I really enjoyed the match, but also at the same time, I mean, I'm just distracted by the fact that Kevin Owens is a babyface. So you got two babyfaces going off one heel in this certain situation. So, like I said, I think maybe about 5-10 minutes ago in this podcast, that Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania is going to be these three right here: Daniel Bryan, Mustafa Ali, and Kevin Owens. But then you're going to have Kofi Kingston in a fatal four-way with these other men, and hopefully Kofi Kingston is going to walk out of WrestleMania as the WWE Champion. Next up, you got Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair, and if Becky wins, she will be added to the Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 35. And lo and behold, Becky wins. But here is the twister. If I'm not mistaken, this is whenever Ronda came out. Charlotte was doing the figure 4, or is it figure 6? I think it was the figure 4. And it looked almost like Becky was fixing to just tap, like, oh my God, I quit, or whatever. No, Ronda was coming down to the ring, and she hit Becky, so that automatically makes Charlotte disqualified from the match. And so, therefore, Becky wins the match and is going on to WrestleMania. I was expecting something else. I was expecting, really, Becky to beat the hell out of Charlotte. And it's like, no, this is my opportunity. I'm taking it, and I'm going to WrestleMania to get Ronda Rousey out of this company and become the new Raw Women's Champion. That's what I was thinking. But no, Ronda just came down to the ring and, hit Becky and then left. So, I don't understand that. I think Becky should have had just won the match by herself, but still, nevertheless, I am super happy that Becky is still in this match regardless. Then right after the match, Elias came out and was started saying, making fun of the city of Cleveland, Ohio, about the Browns football team and yada yada. And Randy Orton just did the RKO out of nowhere, and then later earlier in the show itself, AJ was talking about Randy Orton and saying that I'm going to take care of the Viper. Then AJ did the phenomenal forearm on Randy Orton, and then it just kind of went away from there. And so now the main event of Fastlane 2019 was The Shield versus Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre. I did not watch this match. I actually went to bed, and I really wish I would have watched it now, because I was having, some issues and stuff like that, and so it was like 12:30 at night in the morning when I went to actually sleep, and I had to get up at 4:30 to shave and stuff all like that. But the Shield honestly looked dominant from what I'm hearing, and Drew McIntyre, of course, had some few good punches in that situation. But me personally, I just don't know how multiple events took place, but all I know is that the Shield did win this match for their one last ride. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. And like I said, I'm recording this on Monday, so I don't know in the certain situation that if Dean is going to turn on Roman Reigns or what. And that is it, guys. So for Fastlane, I don't have to honestly say I'd give Fastlane maybe a B-. Because, like I said, it was weird, it was confusing, and not a lot of stuff made sense. But then there again, this is WWE booking, so stuff that don't make sense usually makes sense on the Monday Night Raw or SmackDown after that pay-per-view. Alright, so now we're jumping gears over to the Atlanta Falcons news for you guys. So, an early bird report, how the reported Antonio Brown trade affects the Falcons and Julio Jones. As reports surfaced Sunday that Antonio Brown would be traded to the Oakland Raiders for the start of the new league year and renegotiate his contract for a reported 3-year deal worth up to $54.125 million with $30.125 million guaranteed. Folks in Atlanta naturally began to wonder how the move could impact the Falcons' talks with Julio Jones. The team is currently working on renegotiating Jones' current deal after agreeing prior to the start of the 2018 season to get something worked out this offseason. So, me personally, I think this is going to work out in Julio Jones' favor. Because right now, Antonio Brown is the richest wide receiver in the league. So, with $54.125 million, I say Julio Jones is going to get maybe 65 million with 35 guaranteed in this certain situation. Because me personally, I think Julio Jones is the better wide receiver in this certain situation than Antonio Brown. Julio Jones is that elite player that can do it all. Antonio Brown, he's just more focused on the wide receiver position. Yes, Julio Jones is a wide receiver too, but he can play multiple situational, styles of play. Like that interception that Dallas almost had on us, I think, in week 11. Julio Jones just friggin' speared the hell out of that player. I forget who it is now, but hey, they fumbled the ball and Atlanta got it back, and thanks to Julio, thanks to that amazing tackle that Julio did. So I was glad to see that, and Julio can do a lot. Julio can do a lot compared to Antonio Brown, where Antonio Brown, he just kind of works the system as being a wide receiver where you don't get caught in certain plays. So, again, with Antonio Brown getting almost pretty much $55 million, I'm going to say Julio is going to get that 65 and get 35 guaranteed. That's my prediction going into this free agency, contract negotiations, and just everything else like that. Alright, so now finally, 5 offensive line prospects who could help the Falcons. Number 1 is Jonah Williams, offensive tackle of Alabama. A 3-year starter at tackle for Alabama, Jonah Williams is one of the most experienced and polished offensive linemen in this draft. At 6'4", 302 pounds, Williams isn't overly long, which is one of the reasons some believe he could slide over the guard at the next level. There's no mistake though, Williams has the tools to succeed wherever teams place him. I've actually seen this right here. Jonah Williams, he's one of these players that can... oh my god, that is my dog. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Guys, my dog randomly barks at just stuff, and it just drives me insane. I mean, if there could be a fly on the wall, she's barking at it. But yeah, Jonah Williams, offensive tackle of Alabama, I did see him play in the national title game. Yes, I know Alabama didn't have that great of a matchup against Clemson, but still, there were plenty of opportunities where Clemson could have got something done. Jonah Williams just stopped it. So definitely the Falcons could use someone like that. Cody Ford, offensive tackle of Oklahoma. This right here, it's just, I don't know. I don't watch too much Oklahoma, so I really couldn't tell you in this certain situation. But Cody Ford is among the offensive linemen with the highest upside in this year's draft. Despite starting for only one season, Ford has a rare combination of size, strength, and speed. Ford could likely play either tackle or guard in the NFL, but he might be better suited to start on the interior early on, given his relative lack of starting experience. Next up is Dalton Rentzer, if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't want to be pronouncing these people's names wrong, but he's an offensive tackle at Kansas State. Another player who could be a candidate to move inside, Dalton Rentzer brings a lot to the table as an offensive lineman. He is sure-handed and locked down some highly regarded pass rushers while at Kansas State, and Rentzer is a fluid mover in space and would be an assistant in the run game. Coming at number 4 is Chris Lindstorm, OG, offensive guard, Boston College. The first true guard prospect on this list, Lindstorm is a very athletic player who entered the NFL ready to help a team from day one. While he may not have the sheer natural upside of a player like Cody Ford, Lindstorm has a very few glaring weaknesses. He's comparing in nearly every facet of his game and offers a lot in a run blocker. And coming at number 5, finally, is Garrett Bradbury, offensive guard, NC State. With Lindstorm, there are a few nits to pick with Garrett Bradbury's game. That's a lot to say. He moves very well and has noticeable body control while blocking defenders in space. Bradbury is a refined technical lineman who didn't make any mistakes on the interior of NC State's offensive line. The Wolfpack run a zone blocking scheme, so Bradbury has a direct experience that would translate to the Falcons. All these sound like very good candidates right here. I would actually pick Bradbury of NC State with my number 1 draft pick. But going into the draft right here, guys, I say the Falcons should spend their first 3 draft picks on offensive linemen, which in this case would be either of these players that I just mentioned. And then their last 3, I would spend it on defensive players. So you're kind of getting that balance, because really it was just a matter of keeping Matt Ryan safe, which a lot of times during this past season, none of the offensive linemen kept Matt Ryan safe. The right tackle, the right guard, the left guard, just all of them. And when we're coming to the defensive end of the ball for the Falcons, nothing really was in place, and a lot more yardage was given to the other team because of how the Falcons had missing players and bad play calling. So a lot of it has to do with the play calling, and a lot of it has to do with the players itself. So whenever you get 3 defensive players in this certain situation that is still young and can learn and adapt quickly, that is going to be dangerous whenever the Falcons face opponents this coming season. So I cannot wait to see how that certain situation plays out. But guys, that is all the time I have for today, but I sure hope you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure that like button on both YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, wherever you may be getting your podcast from now. Make sure you're subscribing for the latest sports information that surrounds you. Till then, guys, I, Cole Morgan, will catch you guys later. Peace.